Is the rap beef between Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and J. Cole all fun and games? Or is there something deeper here? Stay tuned right after this. Hey y'all, what's up? This is attorney Chloe Corbett, aka the Duchess of Justice. I am one half of the Defiant Lawyers, where we provide legal analysis of trending politics, policies, personalities, and pop culture to empower you to defy this unjust legal system and nullify systemic racism. So look, y'all, thank you all for joining me today. If you are a first-time viewer, we welcome you in. Why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button? If you are a returning viewer, hey, what's up, y'all? So let's get right into it. So for those of you all who do not know, I love hip hop. I think hip hop is one of the most unique genre of music that we have today. We know that it came out of Black culture, African American culture, as a way to tell our story, as a way to use the natural percussion that we have in music, the lyricism that we've had, the oral tradition of story that goes back to the motherland and our ancestors in Africa. So I just think it is a wonderful genre of music. Now, the content today, I have a lot of disagreements with, but the actual genre and what hip hop is and the nature of hip hop, I think is absolutely amazing. And two of my favorite rappers today that are out today are involved in this alleged rap beef. And that is J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar. So we are originally from North Carolina. J. Cole is a North Carolina native. He's from Fayetteville. I know exactly where that is. Been there many times. I also love Kendrick Lamar, who is from Compton and has put out some of the most critically acclaimed albums. Just not just rap albums, but just albums in general. I mean, he's won a Pulitzer Prize. So that tells you all that you need to know about Kendrick Lamar's music. And then we have Drake. I watched Drake when he was on this teen show out of Canada called Degrassi. Used to love me some Degrassi. And I remember him as Wheelchair Jimmy, which was the name of his character on the show Degrassi. And to see him transform from being a child actor, playing that character on Degrassi, to literally one of the most and one of the biggest rappers in the world is absolutely amazing. So I would agree with the sentiment that they all believe, and that a lot of people have said, that Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Drake are the three biggest rappers currently today working. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you look into all three of them, you will see that they sell the most records, that they have the most critically acclaimed music, that they have the most popular music, especially Drake. And so they really are the big three out today. And, there has been a little bit of beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, dating back years to the mid 2000s. And J. Cole has inserted himself in there before. But this beef, it feels a little bit different. And it feels different because of where they all are at in their stage of their careers. They're not the just young, absolutely hungry new rappers that they were back in the mid 2000s. These are men that are all in their mid 30s. They have multiple albums under their belts. They've sold millions of records. So it's a little bit different. And before we get even more into it, let me just let you know, my favorite out of the three is Kendrick Lamar. So you know where I'm at with that. Like, I absolutely love Kendrick Lamar's music, dating back to Section 80, which was his first project. Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly. The most recent one is Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. He had another album in between there. I love Kendrick Lamar, and I love J. Cole too. I gotta support my North Carolina brother, my North Carolina brother. And dating back to when I was in high school, I was listening to J. Cole. So I love both of them, but Kendrick Lamar is my favorite, I must say. But let's get into this beef. Let's talk about it. And my dad, if you go back, we're going to link a video below in the description box. He wrote a video about Black men and the history of beefing in the Black community. and the impact that it's had on our community, especially Black men. So I think you all should check out that video below. But I'm going to talk about it in the context of hip hop and where we go from here with this rap beef that has come about today. So let's get into it. So the Washington Post has a pretty good article out explaining this beef between Kendrick Lamar, Drake, J. Cole, and now A$AP Rocky. So I'm going to be referencing this article as well and just giving my thoughts and opinions on this. And they have a sentence in here, or a couple of sentences, that I think is really good and gives context around this beef. So this article states that competition is a firm pillar of hip hop. Years before Tupac and Biggie or Jay-Z and Nas ever traded lyrical blows on iconic disses, DJs squared off at legendary block parties. Breakdancers battled out in competitive ciphers. MCs exchanged fiery bars and battle raps on stage. Those traditions laid the cornerstone for a genre that continues to evolve, propelling hip-hop into a global phenomenon and elevating rap artistry. So I think that this opening paragraph in this Washington Post article really gives a framework for hip-hop and the history of hip-hop. There's been competition in hip-hop for decades, and hip-hop is a relatively new genre. I mean, from the late 70s, early 80s is where hip-hop was really born out of the Bronx, New York. And if you listen to these old hip hop records and you look at video and photographs, you'll see that, you know, there were DJs that, just like this article said, would have rap battles out. Break dancers would have competitions. You'll have MCs on the mic, freestylers going back and forth. So it is truly a pillar in hip hop. But as hip hop evolved into the gangster rap of the late 80s and early 1990s, and into the modern rap that we have today, is gone beyond just this competitive spirit and nature that was in it to one that is deadly, that has taken the lives of rappers such as Nipsey Hussle, Pop Smoke, Young Dolph. There was a rapper here from Dallas who lost his life a few years ago, and so many, many more. And obviously I cannot forget Tupac and Biggie, both of whom were shot and killed as well. And so it went beyond what it was in the late 80s or the mid 80s and the late 70s to something that has become deadly and that has spilled over into African American culture in general, one in which today the statistics show that homicide is the leading cause of death of young Black men. Not cancer, not car accidents, not negligence, not other accidents, not disease, homicide. Killing someone. That is a leading cause of death of young Black men in this country. And I do believe that hip hop has played a role, especially the contents of hip hop. Now, you know, when we had NWA, Niggas with Attitude, Public Enemy, and those rap groups in the late 80s and early 90s, you know, they were using hip hop as a way to tell their stories of dealing with corrupt cops, of the violence that sometimes came with living in the hood. Not always, but sometimes. Of the bloodshed that was incurred by people and against people. So it was a way to tell their stories. But it eventually evolved into the late 90s, the 2000s, into glorifying violence, in my opinion. And that is the issue. So even though we have hip hop being, you know, this competitive spirit and something that I love to see, I love the competition. I love watching rap battles. I love just the competitiveness. I mean, that's in my blood. But it can kind of go beyond the pale too and evolve into violence and spill over into our country. But let's get back to this immediate beef that's going on now. So the current beef kind of started when Kendrick Lamar took a direct aim at Drake and Cole in a verse that he did on the song Like That, which is a Future and Metro Boomin album, We Don't Trust You. For those of you all who don't know, Future is another rapper. He is from ATL, from Atlanta. He's a lot grittier. He kind of does like the drug type rapping. But he is one of them as well. Metro Boomin is a very famous producer, rap producer, who produces some of the biggest rap songs for the past decade or so. So Kendrick Lamar hopped on their album, and he took aim at Drake and J. Cole. Okay, and any of you all who know Kendrick Lamar, he got pen. His pen go crazy. That's what he's known for. His lyrical genius and the way that he puts words together and the double and triple entendres that he does. So when you in his crosshairs, you know Kendrick Lamar is gonna come at him. So he came at them. What did Kendrick Lamar say? Let's get into that. So in that song, he referenced Drake and J. Cole's song from last year called First Person Shooter. And in that song, Cole said that the three GOATs, or the greatest of all time rappers, at this moment, he said, quote, we the big three, like we started a league, but right now I feel like Muhammad Ali. So J. Cole was saying, look, yeah, me, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, we the big three, we the greatest at this time in the rap industry, but I'm the best. I'm Muhammad Ali. So he was puffing his chest. He was saying, look, you know, you got Drake, you got Kendrick, but it's me who's at the top. So everybody was like, okay, you know, J. Cole talking his stuff. You know, he's feeling himself a little bit. And I can get why, because at that point, even though it had been a couple of years since J. Cole released an album, his guest features were killing songs. And so he was hopping on all of the biggest rappers' songs and just really, really putting down some good lyrics. So at that time, he was like, look, it's me. I'm Muhammad Ali. Okay, a little bit of competitive spirit. Keep in mind, that is the foundation of hip-hop, that competitiveness. So everybody was thinking, okay, is Kendrick Lamar going to respond? You know, Kendrick Lamar, his latest album was Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. You know, it had been a year or so since that came out. What's going to happen? So nothing really happened. They had that song, First Person Shooter, was a huge popular song. They got a lot of radio play, but Kendrick Lamar did not respond until last month when he took aim at Drake and J. Cole and Like That. Okay. So in his song Like That, Kendrick Lamar, or not his song, he was just his featured song, but he was a guest on the song. He was like, look, it's just me. There ain't no big three. It's just me, baby. So Kendrick Lamar was coming back, referencing, saying, nah, it ain't the top three, me, you, J. Cole, and Drake. It's just me. I'm at the top. Again, there's that competitiveness. But he really saved his venom for Drake. Okay? So, as this article says, he seemingly compared himself to Prince and Drake to Michael Jackson. He noted that, quote, Prince outlived Mike Jack. So he's saying, look, I'm Prince, Drake. You're Michael Jackson. Prince outlived Michael Jackson. So therefore, I'm going to outlive you in this rap game. I have the longevity that you don't have. You might have the popularity now. You might get a lot of the radio play. But I'm gonna outlast you like Prince outlasted Michael Jackson. Ooh, when we heard that, we were like, okay, he's throwing something. He's throwing something. And then he said, in referencing to Drake's latest album, For All the Dogs, which to me, I thought that album was so dumb. Drake has really gone down, as a side note, Drake really has gone down as a rapper to me. You know, he has some popular songs, but the content of the music that he's putting out is just horrible, especially when compared to Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. It's calculated. It's just for him to make money and just appeal to just like Zoomers and Gen Z. But there's nothing of substance and quality in it. But that's my little rant. So in his verse, in Kendrick Lamar's verse, he said, quote, for all your dogs getting buried, that's a K with all these nines. He gonna see Pet Cemetery. So let me break that down. Basically, Kendrick Lamar is saying, Drake, you and all your homies are gonna get buried in this rap game. Because my pen is way above you all's. He's saying that's a K with all these nines. Basically, a 9 is a 9mm. He's saying there's a K, Kendrick Lamar. Drake is gonna see Pet Cemetery, lights out. Now, I don't think he's talking about, literal lights out, but I think he's talking about in this rap game. I murder you all with my lyrics and my pen. We've known from the beginning that Kendrick Lamar is competitive and wants to bring that competitive spirit back to hip hop, because for so long he has been at the top. I mean, he's won a Pulitzer Prize for his album To Pimp a Butterfly. What rapper ever before had won a Pulitzer Prize for their album or for their song? None. So he's trying to bring that competitiveness back, okay? As Washington Post noted, this music journalist said, look, quote, Kendrick is the aggressor here. His stance, so it seems, is you can't just say you're the greatest. You're going to have to prove that. We're not in a world where you can just say anything. This is hip hop. And I agree with that, in part. There's that competitiveness, again, that is in hip hop. So if J. Cole is going to stand on it and say that he's the greatest, prove it. Put out albums, put out music, prove it. I think that competitive spirit is good. I think that it is good for the artists involved, and it's good for us consumers because it makes the artists bring out their best, hopefully, so that we get better quality music and not just this gutter stuff that has taken over hip hop. So I was like, cool, I like this. I want to see how Drake and J. Cole responded. It took a little while. And let's fast forward. A couple weeks later, after Kendrick put out that verse and like that, on April 5th, J. Cole dropped his surprise album called Might Delete Later. It included a song called 7 Minute Drill, in which he implies that Lamar only averages, quote, one good rap verse every 30 months. And he disses other artists for attention seeking. He also says that he criticized Lamar's acclaimed albums To Pimp a Butterfly and Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, calling the first boring and overrated and the second tragic. So J. Cole responds, okay? He said, Kendrick Lamar, you only put out one good rap verse every year or two. And it's true that Kendrick Lamar does not come out with a lot of music often. It often takes years between all of his albums. Versus someone like Drake, who's always putting out music, linking up with the new up-and-coming artists, biting their style. He's been known to do that. Ghostwriting, all of that. He's constantly putting music out. But Kendrick Lamar is a lot more selective in the type of music that he puts out and when he puts it out. So this leads me into the J. Cole apology, which has caused a lot of chatter, discourse online. So, on April 5th, I already told you that he dropped his 7 Minute Drill, in which he responded back to Kendrick Lamar. He lobbied some insults himself. Now, here's the thing. J. Cole's Dreamville Festival in Raleigh, North Carolina. So he puts on the festival in North Carolina that gets like 50, 60,000 people to come every year. And it's huge. It's a big deal. He gives back to the community, all of that. Well, at that, his yearly festival, he walked back what he said on the 7 Minute Drill track. And he said that the response he saw to the song did not, quote, sit right with his spirit. It disrupted his sleep and his peace of mind. And he said basically that it was affecting the spiritual journey that he had been on. And y'all, when I tell you, when he issued this apology, so many people came out the woodwork talking about how J. Cole was a coward. He was a punk. Like he was going against the spirit of hip hop. He was a disappointment. His fans were disappointed. That's not what people wanted to hear. They want to see the lyrical tussle between these three. Let's go at it. Again, competition. That's the foundation of hip hop. That is literally the foundation of it. So when he walked this back, people were very disappointed. And I have a nuanced opinion on this. I think it was very mature of J. Cole to come out and apologize for dissing Kendrick Lamar, his peer. We can presume they are friendly. We know based on what he said that he respects Kendrick Lamar. There may be even a little bit of envy of Kendrick Lamar because of how critically acclaimed Kendrick has been. So I respect that he was emotionally mature enough to come out and apologize, that he was brave enough to do that. in front of his fans. Because remember, he was at a festival of his fans. I commend that. I respect that, even though it probably was tough and people around him did not want him to apologize because they knew the reaction that it would cause, that he still did it. And that he is seemingly remaining authentic to himself, to his journey, to his spiritual journey, and to the peace that he is trying to accomplish in his life. Keep in mind what I said at the beginning. These are not rappers in their 20s. These are mid 30-year-old men with families. All of them got kids. J. Cole has kids. He has a family. And so I'm sure that as he has matriculated through this hip hop industry and seen the things that he has behind the scenes, he was like, this doesn't even feel authentic. I respect my brother Kendrick. Yeah, there may be some envy there. Yeah, there's a little bit of competition. But coming in the way that I did and the response to what I said on that track, the response it made, it doesn't fit right with me. So I completely respect that. Now, I do think, though, J. Cole, can I call you Jermaine even? That's your real name. But I do think, J. Cole, if you're going to stand on business saying that you are the Muhammad Ali out of you, Drake, and Kendrick Lamar, you should stand on business. Because the competition between you all should be a friendly competition to be the best. It should not devolve into the violence that we saw back in the 90s with Jay-Z and Nas and Tupac and Biggie, or even some of the violence that we've seen currently. But it should be about the lyrics, about the content. So I think a little friendly, healthy competition is good. I think Kendrick Lamar coming out and calling out Drake and J. Cole is good. Because it should impress upon them, we have to step up here into the mic with our A games. We have to try to be the best. So I am not angry at J. Cole's apology like I've seen a lot of rap fans are. I completely understand it. But I do think that a little bit of healthy competition is good. And if J. Cole's going to go out there and declare that he's the best, you have to come with it, Jay. Okay? So I want to go to an article from Slate.com where they're discussing all of this as well. And I like what this writer said. He said, but in the days since Cole's retreat, another parallel discourse among the hip-hop commentariat gained steam. The idea that his decision, meaning J. Cole's decision, to opt out of the beef was a product of his enlightenment, a refusal to participate in a toxic masculine cycle of rap-on-rap crime. They quote prolific music writer, founder, and Passion of the Wise founder Jeff Wise by saying that they were disappointed by J. Cole, but they said that they commended the rapper for being emotionally attuned and prioritizing his peace. And Wise went on to say, this is also why I never wanted to listen to his music. But this article, they critique J. Cole's apology. They say there's a deeper problem with this line of argument. To praise Cole's retraction and apology as signs of emotional maturity while the rest of us are just toxic isn't just to resort to therapy cliches, it's borderline culturally illiterate and even anti-black. This line of analysis falls prey to the trap of interpreting a genre built on bombasticism, brags, and competitive fire with fear-mongering literalism, as if these rappers are not artists waging war with metaphor, but men on the verge of pulling an actual weapon. It shows how even long-time rap aficionados can carry repressive baggage. So this writer is arguing that saying that J. Cole apologizing is emotionally mature is not only wrong, but it's culturally illiterate because they don't know the history of hip-hop, and even anti-black. That's interesting. I would not go that far. I don't think that not being completely offended by J. Cole apologizing is anti-black. I think there's a lot more nuance that is there that this writer is missing. Because on one hand, like I said before, We can appreciate if he is really trying to keep his peace. He's older, he's more mature, and he just did not want to participate in the beef. He should be able to say, you know what, I'm going to back out of this and keep it moving with myself, my album, and what I got going on. I don't think that that's anti-black. So I would disagree with this writer. This article goes on to say, at the same time, not all disses are created equal. And there's a big difference between identifying toxic dynamics in hip-hop and attributing dysfunction to the genre's nature. This attitude toward them is reminiscent of the overly literal treatment they receive in the American criminal justice system, which, as Eric Nielsen writes in Rapper on Trial, Race, Lyrics, and Guilt in America distorts a, quote, hallmark of rap music, the larger-than-life persona that many rappers adopt, end quote. With this in mind, nothing Cole said to Kendrick in 7 Minute Drill, or vice versa, should be understood as a legitimate threat to either person. Cole's body bag sound effects are just that, FX added in a studio to immerse listeners in the moment without recruiting them into felonies. Kendrick's warning to Drake and Cole to back off, quote, for all your dolls getting buried, end quote, is wordplay from a Pulitzer Prize winner. So I agree with that. I agree with this portion in saying, like I said before, healthy competition is good. And it should not be taken with these rappers as literal. You know, they are referring to, I'm the best, I'm the greatest. If you don't bring your A game, you're going to get buried. Metaphorically, not literally, because my pen is going to bury yours. So I do agree that a lot of rappers have taken on personas that are not for them. I mean, Drake is the best at this. Drake is a half Jewish man from Canada that lived in a affluent neighborhood in Canada. He is not from the streets. He is not from the hood, but he puts on this persona. And with Drake, he's put on a lot of personas. He's put on a persona like he's Caribbean. He's put on a persona like he's from London. He's put on a persona like he's from Houston. He's known to adapt, and there has been a lot of criticism of him because he doesn't have anything that's really authentic. He doesn't have anything that's really authentically him. He puts on a lot, and so I think that there needs to be a nuanced approach that comes when discussing J. Cole's apology. It shouldn't just be he's a punk. Like, he couldn't hang it. No. What if he just wanted to keep his peace? What if he just knew, I don't even care about this beef. I just did it. And he said this. He said, I just did it because my homie was like, ooh, what you gonna say to that? Kendrick called you out. He should be respected for standing on his own business. At the same time, realizing that even if he had participated and continued to participate in it, there's nothing wrong with a little healthy competition in hip-hop. And that should not be completely indicative of black culture and black people just because we have a little back and forth. And that competition, that extends beyond hip-hop as well. Coming up, if you were around black people and black kids, you had to be able to stand up for yourself. You had to be able to play the dozens. You had to be able to have your mama jokes in the back too, or they would light your behind up. So, I mean, this competition really is in our culture. And I think it makes us stronger as a people as well, as long as it does not get into becoming violent and evolving into the maliciousness that it has evolved into. But I think a little competition is good. So after J. Cole issued his apology, everyone wondered whether or not Drake would come out with his own diss record back or response. And he did. It just came out yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago. So, according to GQ, for about 4 minutes over a dark and brooding beat that apparently originally sampled Junior Mafia's Get Money. Junior Mafia is a rap group that was associated with B.I.G., Biggie, back in the 90s, and also Lil' Kim. Over that beat, he fires off shots, disses, and rebuttals to all the artists who have been coming at him since, quote, Like That dropped. In it, he says, what the H? Is this a 20 versus 1? So he comes for Rick Ross, who also is another rapper, not my favorite at all. Like, I do not like Rick Ross or his music. But Rick Ross comes out and has his own diss track. Of course, he fires shots at Kendrick Lamar. He fires shots at ASAP Rocky, who has two young children with Rihanna, who Drake has been infamously in love with, and fires shots of her on a number of songs as well. So Drake did come by, and he responded to. And a lot of the track was reserved for Kendrick Lamar because, again, Kendrick Lamar fired a lot of shots at Drake too, metaphorical shots as well. He has several bars, and according to GQ, several sophomoric bars attacking Kendrick Lamar's smaller stature, calling Kendrick a, quote, pipsqueak that he had to hike down to for this reply. And he called Kendrick Lamar a so-called big stepper, referencing Kendrick Lamar's latest album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, saying that he wears a size 7 men's. So he also attacks Kendrick Lamar's business relationship with his former record label TDE and its founder Top Dog. He alleges that the founder took a huge part of Kendrick's profits and made him do pop collabs for money. So he said, quote, Maroon 5 need a verse, you better make it witty. Then we need a verse for the Swifties. Top say drop, you better drop and give him 50. Which references the title of the diss track, of Drake's diss track. Okay. And according to GQ, the push-up theme of Drake's diss plays off the jokes that his fans have made about Kendrick Lamar always being war ready because Kendrick Lamar, or because he always posts workouts on his Instagram. So look, that was Drake's response. You know, Drake has been in rap beefs before with other artists. Pusha T was a famous one. I think he had a little beef with Kanye. And so we knew that Drake was probably going to get into it. Again, in my opinion, I'm a Kendrick Lamar fan. I think that no one today can match Kendrick Lamar's pen. I think that it's good that he responded back and came at Drake and J. Cole metaphorically and said, you know, if you all are going to declare yourselves as the GOAT, you better come with it lyrically. Because everybody know Kendrick Lamar is. When you can win a Pulitzer Prize for a rap album, that tells you all you need to know. So those are my thoughts on the beef that's going on. We're going to see what other responses there is. Future and Metro Boomin, they already came back with another album called We Still Don't Trust You. And on that, there's a song with ASAP Rocky, who again, Drake has fired shots at ASAP Rocky and Rihanna because Drake was in love with Rihanna and she was not in love with him, allegedly. So this is still ongoing. To sum up my thoughts, if I were to do a closing statement, if this were at trial, I think that competition is the foundation of hip-hop. I think healthy competition between rappers and those involved in hip-hop is good, as long as the competition does not devolve into violence and killing like it has in the past, in the 90s, with these new crop of rappers like Pop Smoke, who was murdered, Nipsey Hussle, and others, countless others. But a little healthy competition, I think, is great. I also don't think that people need to try to punk J. Cole for standing up for his own mental health, his own integrity, and saying, look, I don't want to be involved in any beef with Kendrick. I apologize for that. It goes against the path that I'm on now. I'm on a spiritual journey. I respect J. Cole for that. And I think he deserves respect for speaking his truth and not all of this jokes and clowning that he's gotten from so-called rap fans who really, they just want entertainment. That's all they want. And J. Cole is saying, I'm putting my value on my mental health, my spiritual health, and I'm not just going to entertain you all by participating in this rap beef if authentically that's not where I'm at. So I think he should be applauded for that. So those are my thoughts, you all. What are you all's thoughts below? What do you think about all of this rap beef between Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Drake? What do you think about just competitiveness in hip-hop? Do you think it is a good thing? Do you think it needs to be changed? I want to hear your thoughts, so put them down below. thank you all for sticking with this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.